What's up, guys? How's it going? Welcome back to the podcast. I am so excited to jump into this today. As I'm gearing up for our workshop next week, which is designing the life of your highest self. You guys, like, this has me just like reeling in possibility right now. And it's so fun for me because this is an exercise that I do all the time. Like, I go through and really get clear about who my highest self is in this season and what I want my life to look and feel like based on being in alignment with her. And it's so fun for me that I get to practice these things over and over and over and then teach them. And this is not new news. So if you've been in my world for a while or you've worked with me, you know this is something we've already done. But it's so fun to imagine your highest self and then design your life to align with her. And when I think about this and when I started this like 5 years ago, it's so fun for me to see that, like, as I've gotten really clear about what the life of my highest self really looks and feels like in each season, and then aligned my decisions with that, it's really what has led me to this life where my life, like week in and week out, and month in and month out, is really reflective of that person, that version of me that got really honest and clear about what she wants and then made decisions that aligned with that. And so, what I'm going to walk you through today is my ideal week that I'm actually existing in right now. And I think it's just so fun to even say that. Like, there is a version of me that existed 5 or 7 years ago that is like, what? This is your life now? And it really just has me like in awe and so happy and proud that, like, I've done a lot of work to get to this place, but also it's possible for all of us. And it's really just fun to like imagine her, the 30 or 35-year-old version of me. And there's a couple different versions in there, which I'm going to talk about. But imagining like her looking forward to this life that I'm dropped into right now, like dropping her in here and just imagining her dropping into my life right now and going, holy shit, like, I didn't actually think this was possible. And oh, it just has me like in all my feels. And it's really helping me to be in awe of me and this life and this business and the state that I am existing in as I walk through this season of my life. It like brings me to tears actually, you guys, because there's a version of me that sat in an office at 6:30 a.m. until 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, who had a brand new baby, and I missed so much of his life. And so when I think back to the version of me that existed in corporate and worked so hard and so many hours trying to prove my worth to other people and overextending myself and living my life from the outside in, but knowing viscerally that something wasn't right. Like, if she could see, I know she can, if she can see me now, it's like, holy cow, what a difference 12 years can make, but also like what a difference doing the work can make. What a difference making big, hard, life-changing decisions can make in our lives. And man, it literally like brings me to tears to imagine her perspective on this. And it all started with this exercise that I do multiple times a year, which is to drop down onto paper my ideal week. And I'm living it. And it's such a gift. And I have the honor of walking so many people through designing their ideal weeks. And this is something that we're going to do as part of the workshop next week. And it's just so amazing. So, what I get asked all the time is like, can you just walk me through your week? And yes, many of these clients are building businesses. And so they want to hear, like, how did I make these decisions? How did I come to the conclusion that I wanted Mondays to be my CEO day? And how did I give myself permission to take Fridays completely off for whatever I want and need? And how did I build in space for hikes and lunch and coffee with my husband? And all of it was like, you guys, I literally just every quarter or so I sit down and go like, okay, for the season that's coming, what does my dream week look and feel like? And this isn't my dream week if I won $10 million. Like, we can play that game all day long. And I do love to live in the land of like full possibility and imagination and magic wands and all of that. But like, this is considering that I'm running a business and that my husband is running a business and that we have two very, very active and busy children that are 10 and 12 years old. And so this isn't some like luxurious out of reality life that isn't accessible to me right now. It's literally like, what would I, how would I exist? How would I walk through my weeks in this life within these circumstances that would feel the most abundant, the most spacious, the most free? And that is how I've landed in these weeks that really honor my desires for this season, that really honor my priorities for this season, that really honor the space and time that I want to be with myself, to be with my family, to be in my business, to be with my friends and extended family. Like, all of those things are at play when I design my ideal weeks. And so that is what I am existing in right now, is my ideal week for this season. And I'm going to kind of walk you through, like, I've had a couple of iterations of this over the last year. And I've made some tweaks even in the last few months that I've tried on and I've treated like an experiment, and I'm really loving it. And so I'm just going to walk you through it because I have clients ask me to do this all the time, is like, as I ask them to design their ideal week, they're like, can you explain yours to me so that I can understand like how you do this? And I'm like, absolutely. And so ultimately what we start with is really outlining like, what are your top priorities for this season? And because I know that the most important thing that I can do in any season is take exceptional care of myself. My top priority always is, what does taking care of me at a really optimal level look and feel like in this season? And so I always go into it knowing that like I get to be my number one priority in order for me to show up for the rest of my priorities as the version of me that I want to be. And so I create a lot of space for me. I design how many hours I work in my business or how many days I work in my business based on the time and space that I want for me first, then my family, then my business, right? I also make sure that I am creating space for things that are really important to me in this season, which are connecting with other people outside of my home that I love, whether that's virtually on FaceTime or phone or in person. And so I just kind of jot down, like, what are my priorities? And as soon as I do that, it becomes really clear that anything that doesn't fall into those buckets, those priorities, is probably going to be a no when it comes to my ideal week. Does that mean that I automatically say no to things that are outside of those things? Not necessarily, but for the most part, if I want to be living in alignment with the version of me that I want to be in this season, I'm really going to let that be the filter for my decisions. So I'm going to start with Sundays because I just made a promise to myself that I'm never going to start anything on a Monday ever again once I realized that I was using Mondays as a way to not start today. So we're going to start with Sunday, and you guys know how incredibly valuable Sundays are for me. In my ideal week, Sunday mornings start really slow. I drink my coffee as slow as I want. I stay on the couch as long as I want, which for me isn't very long. I don't sit still a lot, but I do enjoy taking a really slow, savory Sunday morning. If I always had it my way, I would pack my family into the car and take a hike on Sundays. And so that happens a lot of the time. But even if it doesn't, I'd always make sure that I move my body really intentionally on Sundays. And part of the reason is, again, I promised myself that I would never start anything new on a Monday, but also it's really, really incredible when we have days that are more spacious to really take what we need on those days. So, in my ideal week, Sunday mornings are slow and savory. And then I shift into really honoring my mind, my body, my essence, my being. And so I love to either hike or take a long walk. I love to do some yoga. I love to use some weights if that feels aligned. I love to get in the sauna. You guys know I use the shit out of my Vibe plate. Like that is my new favorite gadget of 2025. The best thing, I give myself lots of time and space on Sundays. Now, does this mean I completely pull myself away from my family? Absolutely not. Like Sundays to me are an ideal day for me to connect with my family. So like I said, if it's up to me, we all go for a really awesome hike and then maybe go grab coffee or something together. But even if we're at home, while I'm doing all of those self-care things, like my kids are welcome to join in any part of it. And I know that I'm in a season of life where I have a 10 and a 12-year-old, so it's actually very easy for them to jump into my workouts with me or to come in and talk to me while I'm on the treadmill or to take a long walk with me. Like I know for those of you that have younger kids, that might not feel quite as easy or as easeful. And so take what you need on a Sunday. If I could wish for anything for y'all on Sundays, it's that you take space for what you need. You let Sundays feel spacious and aligned and really let yourself shift into the feelings that you want to experience in the week ahead. You also know that I take my Sunday sit downs very seriously. And if you don't already have it, my Sunday sit down course is now free. So you can click the link down below in the show notes and you guys can download that. It is a quick video that just walks you through the process that I walk myself and my family through every single Sunday. And I get a lot of questions about this. It's like, how did you get your husband on board? How'd you get your kids on board? And I'm like, ultimately, here's my rule. I do my Sunday sit down no matter what. I love it when they participate, and most of the time they do in some way, but I don't turn it into some chore, some giant chore for our family. And I think the reason that it feels so good to us and the reason that my kids actually like to walk through it is because I haven't turned it into some really long drawn out chore for them. I just ask them to come over so that I can walk them through the week and do like a little check in with them. We use our Sunday sit downs for anything that we need to talk about as a family, any decisions we need to make, any concerns or questions that we have about what's happening in our family. Like that is the space that I love to give us for those types of conversations. Sometimes our Sunday sit down is 15 minutes, sometimes it's 45 minutes. It really just depends on what's going on in our world on a week to week basis. So that is my favorite way to structure my Sundays. Outside of that, I let myself flow. We do a lot of meal prep. We like to really walk into the week, not just feeling aligned in what's coming for the week, but feeling like we actually took action towards what we need for the week to set ourselves up for success. Okay. So then Mondays for me, I've actually changed this up over the last few months and I'm really loving it. I used to give myself all of Monday for my like CEO life and business day. And I loved that. It felt super spacious. I took the entire day to really align with what needs I had in my life and in my business. And so that was the day that I was doing a lot of behind the scenes stuff, a lot of making appointments and doing returns and all of those types of things for our life. And then for my business, I would kind of map out like the week and what maybe content I wanted to create and maybe accounting tasks that I had to do. And so I really gave myself all of Mondays for like this spacious time to really manage the business of my life and business. And I loved that. What I realized though is I actually like to get a jump start on my actual work for the week on Mondays. And so I gave myself the opportunity to experiment with this a couple of months ago where I threw a couple of one-on-one clients in on Monday afternoons. And what that did was really put some boundaries around the time and space that I had on Monday mornings to do the business side of my life and business. And I'll kind of explain, like why I ended up doing this and why I'm loving it so much. Is so now I have Monday mornings until about noon or 1 to go for my hike with my husband, and then really take a couple of hours to get caught up, or what I would say is I love the feeling of like being ahead on the business of my life and business, and that has worked really, really well. I do love shifting into the energy of coaching on Mondays. That's feeling really good to me. And so I'm going to continue to do that. And so play around with this. Like I do love recommending giving yourself Mondays and Fridays as like the bookends of your week. If you have the autonomy to build your own schedule, I do love having those days feel more spacious, but for me, going into calls on Monday is feeling really, really good. It's also making sure that I have space throughout my heavier call days for breaks, for lunch, for things that I want to do for myself in the middle of the day. I manage a pretty heavy client load right now, and I'll talk a little bit more about that as we shift into the next few days of my ideal week. But because of that, I love having a little bit more space. So having those 2 or 3 client calls on Mondays ensures that I actually take the breaks that I want to on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. So that is really how I structure my Mondays. I love it. It's working really, really well for me. The other thing I will say is when I dedicated my entire day, it felt almost too spacious to me. And I was making myself wrong for that. I was like making it a problem that I couldn't sit in the space with comfort. And I had a friend that reminded me, like, we all have our Goldilocks level of what feels good in terms of space. And so I love a good slow start to the week. I love Mondays being like I said, I get up, I'm with the kids, I'm super present. I actually go to my workout classes on Monday mornings early now, but then I'm present to the kids. And then my husband and I go for our hike, and then I shift into work mode, if you will. And I really am enjoying that. I love to work. And so it helps me to shift into the energy of that. We're all different in this way. Tuesdays and Wednesdays look very similar to each other. I actually run both of my group programs on Tuesdays. Actually, let me back up. My evenings during the week are filled with kids' activities. The priority for me is that I want to be available for my kids when they are home. And most evenings during the week are dedicated to running the kids to the different things that they have on their schedule. My husband and I do a really, really good job. I'm so fortunate to have a husband who carries more than half of the load, honestly. He has a little bit more flexibility when it comes to his work. He can literally work from anywhere. He runs a real estate investment company, and so he can work from anywhere. Where I like to be sitting at this desk when I'm working and coaching, and so he has more flexibility. So we do an incredible job of dividing and conquering with the kids. But because of the way that I exist in my days and the energy that I set on Sundays going into the week, my evenings, even though they're busy and I spend a lot of time in my car, they feel really present and spacious. And I really, really love that. So anyway, just to kind of like back up on my Monday evenings. So going into Tuesdays and Wednesdays are my heavier work days. And you guys, I fucking love to work. And so I love these days. Like I love these days that are pretty packed with client calls, pretty packed with a decent amount of work. Like I thrive when I am in motion. And I think that's why I like getting into motion on Monday so well, is like then I shift into Tuesday, Wednesday. They are my longer call days. I run both of my group programs. So I have the Sweet Spot Collective, which is my life coaching group coaching program. And then I have the Vibe, which is my life and business mastermind. And so I run those both on Tuesdays with a couple of private client calls sprinkled in there. Wednesday is, again, my longer client call day. I can pack in 5 or 6, sometimes even 7 client calls on a day. And while to some that would feel so crazy, I love to serve in that way. It's like energizes me. I have really incredible energetic like boundaries and rituals that I lean into to ensure that I don't drain myself with too much output. So I pack those days. And then Thursdays have become a day where I start a little bit earlier and then I end a little bit earlier. And so my Thursday later afternoons have become another space that is really dedicated to me. And so I love wrapping up my calls on Thursdays and taking Thursday later afternoons to put a bow on what I would call like my client work for the week. So anything outstanding, any consults I need to follow up on, anything like that in my business, I love to give myself space on Thursday afternoons. I also love to record podcasts then, like things that I can do to get ahead for the following week. I love to put a bow on my week in that way. Fridays are my free day, fun day, me day. They are dedicated to me taking whatever I want and need. I do client check-in, celebration check-ins on Fridays, but outside of that, no client calls, no scheduled work meetings. Like I really protect my Fridays. I love to use this for any self-care that I need, any appointments that I need that are more indulgent. I love to go to lunch with friends on Fridays. I love to spend time with my husband on Fridays. Like these are really dedicated to me outside of my business. And this took some getting used to too. When I like again, you guys, I worked in corporate for 15 years while building businesses. I am someone who loves to hustle, especially when she's hustling for something she cares a lot about. But I've really done an incredible job of setting boundaries for Friday to be a day for me, right? My kids are in school. So outside of that day, I am in mom mode a lot. I am in output a lot. And so I really, really focus Fridays on fueling myself, on taking what I need, on letting it be spacious, letting it be fun, and really just following what feels good to me on Fridays. Um, Friday evenings, if the kids don't have activities, we really like to dedicate Friday evenings to family night. And so that is watching a movie, going to dinner. The kids actually love to get dressed up and go to dinner, which is so fun for us in this season. Taking solo dates with either of the kids, which we try to do once a month, and or just chilling at home, playing some games, doing whatever feels good. And then typically in this season, Saturdays are jam packed with kids' activities, and we're just rolling with that. And honestly, it is the time of my life. I've watched so many people that I love exist in this season, and I knew I was going to love it. But you guys, like watching your kids do things that they love is just the gift of a lifetime. And then I'm so grateful that I have the tools that I have to help them through all of the parts of it that maybe don't feel so fun for them in the moment. But gosh, I see the growth and I see how that experience serves them so well. And so I just love knowing that my Saturdays are going to be filled with so much of that, so much goodness of like really enjoying watching my kids with full presence as they lean into the things that they love so much. Um, a couple of other things that I love to sprinkle throughout my weeks, and I'm working on the leaning into these things a little bit more this year, is like really following the fun. And so I have decided that I want to either play pickleball or take a dance class once a week. And so I will find ways to make those things happen. And again, I am so blessed to have a husband who is so supportive, and it literally encourages me to follow my desires. But we also, as you guys know, if you use the Sunday sit down, we also use the Sunday sit down as a time to go like, okay, do we need support outside of the two of us? I highly encourage my husband to like go golfing once a week, go do something fun with your friends once a week. And so if he chooses to do that, or if we have a night where, we need additional help, we really lean into asking for help from our village, asking for help from other parents, asking for help from our parents, or if needed, hiring someone to help us out so that we can take more of what we need. And I think that is what is such a gift, is that once you realize that you are, one of my friends calls it the CEO, the chief energy officer of your home and your business and your family, which is so true for so many of us, then you will realize that the most important thing that you can do is look at your week and go, where am I being cared for? I don't, I had a call with a private client yesterday, and we talked about how quickly our brains will see an opportunity for us to take time for ourselves and run in and go, but you could or should be doing this instead. And what I reminded her is that as her brain does that, could she be with her kids instead? Could she be doing some work instead? Should she be, like, that's the shitting part of our brain that can be such an asshole sometimes, is like, Are there other things you could be doing? Yes, always. There is always laundry that can be done. There are always other things I could be doing. But the most important thing that I can do is set my energy so that I can show up as the version of me that I want to be for all of the things and the people that matter most to me in this season. And so, yes, I could be doing other things, but I know that the most valuable thing for me to do with any of that free space that I see in my calendar is to make sure that I am checking in on me, make sure that I am fueling me, right? As they say, put your mask on first. That means you need to be cared for in order to care for others. And so, as you look at your ideal week for this season, and this is the exercise, as you plant down, like if you have a full time job, we're going to put that down first. And then we're going to look at the minutes that exist outside of that and go, what are we going to do with those? If you are building a business, we're going to plant down the times that you want to work in and on your business. Okay. And this is what I'm really good at helping you build. This is the work that we do inside the Vibe. This is the work that we do inside private coaching. We spend a lot of time making sure that we are dedicating time to the future version of you that has the business that she wants. But outside of that, what I'm going to make sure you're also doing is setting your energy, because energy determines what you attract into your life, right? That you are taking care of your mind and your body and your heart and your soul, that you are prioritizing and then aligning the decisions that you make with the things that you say are your priorities. Because so many of us, we go, the most important thing to me is that I'm present for my kids and that I exist in the healthiest body I've ever had and that I build this business. And then we choose things that don't feed those priorities. So as you design your ideal week, we make sure that we're aligning it with the things that you say matter most to you. Because as you will learn, the longer you are in my world, the longer that you understand how our brain works, our brain will fight like hell to keep things the same. Our brain will fight like hell to do what feels familiar, even if familiar doesn't serve where we're going. Your brain wants you to stay stuck. It feels safer when you choose that. And so you're going to have to overcome that primal function in your brain, which is why we design it. We design it on paper, and then we do the inner work, the mind body work to create safety for you to start existing as her in weeks that feel so aligned and so incredible. And that's why I know there are former versions of me that have gone, damn girl, you did the work. Because for me to exist in this life, these weeks that I'm existing in right now, I had some work to do to let go of old shit, to overcome the primal brain function that was showing up, trying to keep me overworking, overwhelmed, constantly distracted. Going to learn about distraction, go to the previous podcast I just recorded the other day. Right? And so your brain is going to fight like hell to keep you from your dreams, to keep you from your ideal week. And you're going to have to do the inner work to get there, but get it down on paper so that you can imagine existing in it, right? If you can imagine it, you can create it. Trust me when I say that. All right, you guys, have some fun with this. Please come to the workshop next week. We are going to get into the nuts and bolts of this. We are going to talk about what's draining your energy and your time. We're going to get clear about what you want and where you're going. This is, of course, the work that we do inside my containers. The doors for the Vibe are open right now. I've got 3 more spots left. This is my life and business mastermind. It's super high touch. It's super intimate. We have a couple of group coaching calls every month. You get 1 private coaching call every month. You get me in your back pocket in Voxer, which means you can message me anytime for support in your life and your business and anything that you need. And then, of course, we have the epic retreat that's coming in Joshua Tree that I am just like absolutely dying over. And so if this feels like it is calling you, we start in March. The retreat is in early May. I would love to have you in this room. We will include the information in the show notes. I love you guys so much. Thank you for being here, and I will see you in the next episode.